No?
Now
Now?
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 it's
It's
Your time.
your time.
my time.
My time.
Your time.
My time.
Your time.
Your time.
My time.
Hi,
Hello,
Hi,
my name is Anastasia Pradita.
I'm Cynthia Rusli.
I'm Dani Arsa.
Case studies creates the learning experience as the real-life experience. The case study that we are using in the class are very much relevant and develop a better understanding of the dynamics of business. We constantly feel that we are the decision maker.
Now, every time I face the problem,
I always reminded by the case study that I studied in a class,
And it has developed me in making fast and sharp decisions.
my campus IPMI
Consider is very fast in adapting to these changes.
the hybrid methods is the mix of online and offline learning experience as it provides flexibility and yet still delivers the high quality of learning.
Yes, that's true.
My learning journey at IPMI helps me to be fast.
Sharp.
Relevant.
Here we are, a place for you to learn, find solutions, and develop knowledge and skills in business and management. We provide you with the methodology of case study prevalent in the academic and business world. So if you want to be fast, sharp, and relevant in business management, believe in yourself, believe in us, because now is your time.
and gentlemen, please take your seats as we will be starting shortly. Before we start, let me share some information. The restrooms are located on the second floor, one floor below this level. The ladies' restroom are on the right as you come down the stairs or as you exit the elevator. The men's restroom are to the left as you come down the stairs or exit the elevator. We kindly remind you to turn off your cell phones or turn it to silent mode and be cautious to those around you by refraining from talking aloud.
And for those online participants, we kindly remind you to please check your internet connection, your video quality, and please mute your microphone while the event is running. And please stay until the end of the event. And in case of emergency, let us watch the safety briefing as shown.
Hello, welcome to IPMI International Business School. Before we begin, I will explain to you regarding what are the things to do in case of emergency. IPMI building consists of 4 floors, starting from ground floor until the 3rd floor. IPMI building access are through the main door located on the main lobby. On the 2nd floor, restrooms are located in the right and left side from the lift. For female restrooms are located in the right side of the lift, and for male restrooms are located on the left side of the lift. For emergency exit door on the 2nd floor is located at the end of the elevator hallway. The emergency stairs is connected to the social house on the ground floor. For Muslims who wish to pray, IPMI Mushola is located on the left on the outer part of the main lobby. For the nearest bank and ATM, Bank Mandiri is available on the right on the outer part of the main lobby. For restrooms on the 1st floor and ground floor is located on the left and right side of the lift. What you need to know is that IPMI is a smoke-free campus because IPMI supports governmental program in creating smoke-free public areas. But you do not need to worry because IPMI provides smoking area that is located in IPMI's outdoor dining cafeteria. Well, I will try to explain regarding what to do in case of emergency state. So, if you hear sirens that indicates emergency circumstances, I urge you to stay calm. Do not panic. Do not run. Keep walking but in a faster pace. No need to bring bags that is bigger than a handbag. To women who are wearing high heels, we recommend to take it off immediately for your comfort and safety under these circumstances. It is not recommended to use the lift under emergency circumstances. Afterwards, you may please leave this room and find the emergency stairs exit. After that, please take the stairs to the ground floor, or you may use the main stairs that is located behind the lift. This stairs is also connected to the main lobby on the ground floor. After you reach the ground floor, please leave IPMI building through the main lobby towards the assembly point that is located on the parking lot area. The exact point is under the flagpole. Or you could find another assembly point that is located on IPMI basketball field. Then, please wait on the assembly point until further instructions from us. Thank you for your attention. Have a great day.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Good afternoon to our distinguished speakers and guests, Mr. Jackal Ma, the President Director of Tongdun Indonesia and co-founder of Tongdun Group, Bapak Nuki Pujiarjo, Executive Director Fintopia Indonesia, and Bapak Wildan Kesuma, the Head of Corporate Affairs of Fintopia Indonesia.
And good afternoon to our beloved faculty members, the Chairperson of Board Yayasan Pengembangan Manajemen Indonesia, Ibu Utami Handayani Arifin, the Chairman of the Advisory Board of Yayasan Pengembangan Manajemen Indonesia, Ambassador Najib Rifat Kesuma, the Rector of IPMI Institute, Profesor Insinyur M. Aman Wirakarta Kusuma, MSc PhD, the Vice Rector of Academic and Students Affairs of IPMI Institute, Professor Dr. Insinyur M. Samsul Marif, M. Engineer, Diplom in DEA, and the Vice Rector of Resources and Finance of IPMI Institute, Ibu Chutri Sharifa, MSE, and the Head of Senate and Quality Assurance, Ibu Yulita Susanti, and warmest welcome to all of you who are present in Puri, Dani, and as well as the participants who joined through Zoom. We sincerely appreciate you for taking the time to join us today. My name is Putri.
And I am Nisa.
And it's an honor for us to be the MC of today's event. And today's Power Talk is special because we're having it in Puri, Dani, with lots of students and guests attending. Nisa, can you tell us more about it?
Yes, of course. So today is a special Power Talk since we are inviting a special guest, Mr. Jackal Ma, the President Director of Tongdun Indonesia and co-founder of Tongdun Group from Fintopia Indonesia. Give a round of applause. So today we will discuss about the aligning business and technology. It's a very interesting topic with the theme Leaders with Mission, Bridging the Global Inclusion and Equality Gap with Technology Innovation.
All right, but before we officially start the event, let us start singing our national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. You may all be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, to open this event, we would like to invite Professor Insinyur M. Aman Wirakarta Kusuma, PhD, as Director of IPMI Institute, to give a welcoming remarks. Professor Aman, the stage is yours.
Pak Jimmy Gani, the President Commissioners of PT Indonesia Fintopia Technology, Mr. Jackal Ma, the Chairman, Trust Decision Co-founder Tongdun Group, Mr. Nuki Jatmiko, the President Director of PT Indonesia Fintopia Technology, His Excellency Ambassador Najib, the Commissioner of PT Indonesia Fintopia Technology, Mr. Wildan Kesuma, the Head of Corporate Affairs, PT Indonesia Fintopia Technology, Ibu Tami Arifin, the Chairperson of Foundation of IPMI, the Vice Directors, Head of Programs, Head of Senate, all faculty members and staff, particularly to our beloved student, the jewels and the seed for the future generation. Welcome and thank you for coming to IPMI Institute. We are witnessing two important occasions. One is on the signing of Memorandum of Understanding with PT Fintopia Technology, and subsequently will be followed by a very precious PowerTalk will be delivered by Mr. Jackal Ma. So, and welcome also to all the participants, because I noticed the program also being open to the Zoom participant online. I really inspired by the topics. There are several keywords in the topics. There is about the bridging. The second one is about the inclusion, and then equality gap, and the final one will be locked by technology innovation in financial, of course. So with that, probably thematics of this Power Talk, but before that, we would like to make sure that has to be based on the very strong platform, the collaboration between IPMI and PT Indonesia Fintopia Technology. So with that, I believe that now financial technology is a modern practice in financial activities in our life all over the world. And it is a spearhead of innovation in financial system. Innovation actually could go beyond technology. That includes in public policy, also institutional models, and of course, in operation is financial models. All these elements significantly impacted the development of financial technology globally. I would like to mention several probably area that I'm sure it will be covered by Mr. Jack Ma, is the public policy, open banking regulation, central bank business currencies, and then in technological innovation, blockchains, artificial intelligence, digital identity and biometrics. In institutional model, we have public-private partnership. Also, the cross-border fintech collaboration, for example. In financial model, of course, we have embedded finance, decentralized finance, and buy now, pay later. Indonesia actually has gone also quite success model for that. We have the example like GoPay by Gojek. That's an example in Indonesia. Fintech Indonesia faces also several risk factors. I would like to also probably request to Mr. Jack Ma to share what are the risks for Indonesian. We're just a beginner entering this, innovation and technology. Like definitely we are discussing on the impact on the regulatory uncertainty, cybersecurity and fraud risks, financial literacy and inclusion. This is one of the topic. market saturation and competition, credit risk, infrastructure and technology risks, economic instability, consumer protection and oversight, regulatory compliances, and then environmental and social governance, which is very important for our consideration. And Mr. Jack Ma also share with me where is the position of School of Business? What are we focusing in this area? And I'm glad all the students who are attending this one, you should listen carefully to what Mr. Jack Ma is going to share with us. Very rich information covering in all several regions in the global scale. So we are delighted to hear what you are going to say with us. As an education institution, IPMI International Business School responsible for several things. How that we can enhance the financial literacy. This is so important. Why we are the institution of education should also communicate with student, transfer to the student about the improving public policy, about the promoting digital literacy, supporting professional development, integrate fintech in our academic discipline, short courses, certification. We also try to address cybersecurity and fraud risks. How about public education in cyber risk? Encouraging innovation through research and development. Creating awareness of ethical and sustainable practices. This is the keyword also with Mr. Jack Ma I discussed. Sustainability is the key. We want to continue, our existence in this planet. Regulatory compliance and risk management. Incubating fintech startup. That's also very important for us in IPMI. With all those backgrounds, IPMI seeks collaboration with Fintopia to create opportunities for student learning, faculty research, and community development. We are fostering a dynamic learning environment that integrates both professionals and academics. IPMI's Innovation Hub and Investment Gallery support student learning, while also providing research and community services, opportunities for faculty and staff. Our academic offering include BBA, MBA, and new programs in entrepreneurship and digital business, alongside our case center and executive education for non-degree programs. As fintech continues to evolve, we recognize the challenges and opportunities ahead. And this partnership with Fintopia is crucial in developing innovative solutions. So thank you, Pak Nuke, and also Pak Jimmy for supporting this one. We deeply appreciate your support for this collaboration. Special thanks I would like to address to Mr. Jackal Ma for his insightful presentation and accept our invitation as the speaker of today's PowerTalk. And of course to Ms. Lia Hidayati for moderating the session. Thank you all for your attendance, and please also listen and learn from Dr. Jack Ma presentation later on. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for the warm welcoming speech, Prof. Aman. Now we will move on to our next agenda.
Let's welcome Bapak Wildan Kasuma, the Head of Corporate Affairs of Fintopia Indonesia, to give an opening remarks. Bapak Wildan, please come to the front stage. Please applause, everyone.
Permission to provide a speech from Fintopia Indonesia Technology. And before that, I would like to thank the host of today's event, IPMI, Professor Aman Wirakartakusuma. Thank you so much for welcoming us. And then Ibu Cut Syahrifa Zahirsha, Vice Rector of Resources and Finance. Thank you so much, Ibu, for today's opportunity. Pak Bambang Gunawan, Director of Executive Education. And also Pak Agus Suyitno, the Vice Rector of Global Partnership. And also, of course, the leadership of Fintopia Indonesia Technology, Pak Jimmy Gani, our President Commissioner, Pak Nuki, our President Director, Pak Najib, and Pak Jackal Ma. Thank you so much for attending. And today, I would like to provide an introduction of EasyCash. We'll start from the beginning. Can we move to the next slide? Okay. EasyCash is a part of Fintopia Group, a global financial technology company with more than 120 million users worldwide, with over 40 billion disbursements in funds. So we are in this size because of our usage of AI, technology, and of course our compliance in regulatory aspects in all over our operational countries. The countries included are, of course, Indonesia, and the headquarters is in Beijing in China, and also in Philippines, and also Mexico. So our massive growth is all supported because of our usage of financial technology, AI, and machine learning. And the next step, the next slide. The following are a few examples of the Fintopia Group business. Mainly the business of financial technology, the disbursement of funds are based on AI. The massive growth is because we highly utilize AI and machine learning to distribute the funds, assess the risk involved in every transaction, and of course, making sure that the funds are received to all the recipients. And of course, we also provide recommendation on products that's needed based on the requirements of our users. We provide options based on the needs, the duration of the loans, the size. And to support the company's expansion, we have been operating worldwide, starting from China, and then expanding to Indonesia, Philippines, and Mexico, and other nations. For example, Brazil and Japan. Next slide, please. And this part will dive deeper in EasyCash with the operational in Indonesia. So we have been established in Indonesia since 2017. And in 2020, in October, we have been given a license to operate, and we are fully licensed and supervised by the OJK. Of course, based on the company's operation, we also utilize AI and machine learning to assess risk in every transaction. And also this usage of technology helps a lot of our users. They can borrow funds anytime that they need. We are open like 24 hours, 24/7. And this helps a lot in terms of financial inclusion in Indonesia. As a company, we are also operating. We are also cooperating with the organization in Indonesia, which are AFPI and AFTEC, two major fintech organization in Indonesia. The following are the updated statistics based on our operations. As of now, we have been disbursing more than 57.8 trillion ever since our establishment in 2017. And as per September this year, 2024, we have 18.11 trillion of total accumulated loans. And the total borrowers that we have at EasyCash at this moment is 6.7 million borrowers. And I've mentioned a bit about our risk assessment technology. This has helped us in maintaining a solid performance in terms of providing returns to our lenders at 100% rate. So this is all are contributed by the usage of technology in our risk assessment aspect. This is a brief overview of how the company works, basically the business process. EasyCash acts as a platform, an intermediary who does the assessment. What do we assess? We assess information provided by the borrowers, which give the information of basic profile, the funds, the amount of funds that they need, the duration that they are willing to use to pay, and all of those information we assess it. We provide the information to the lenders, and then the lenders will choose which borrowers that they will provide that they will support in terms of funds. And this is the process that has been ongoing up to this moment. We have two products. One is for the borrowers and one for the lenders. All of this information are transparent and open. You can also find about this information in our website, easycash.id. For the borrowers, we provide the amount of interest that we provide is starting from 0.2 until 0.3%. This is in accordance with the regulation from OJK. Whereas the lenders, we provide a competitive return starting from 5% up to 20% annually. A few milestones that we have reached up to this moment. 2017, the year of our establishment in Indonesia. 2018, we have gained more than 1 million borrowers. In 2019, we have received an ISO 27001 on management safety system. In 2020, we've gained the operational license from OJK. And in 2023, we have received an award from WOW brand as one of the leaders in fintech. And in 2024, early this year, we have received information that we have been downloaded by more than 200 times in 2023. So we are quite popular in this industry. And next, this is one of the latest activity that we've done as an effort to build the reputation of the industry. We have developed a competition, a writing competition and short video competition. These activities are one of our efforts to build the reputation of the industry. So in the writing competition, journalists can join and write about the impacts of the product in Indonesia, the benefits and the technological aspects of the product, whereas the communities, the borrowers, students, the public in general can participate in the short video competition. They can provide some kind of a narrative on how fintech technology has been able to support the day-to-day life, the benefits of technology, the fintech technology, and also perhaps inspirational stories as well, how fintech can solve problems and add value to their lives. And of course, with competition comes the prize as well. This is the prizes that we have prepared for the winners. For the journalistic competition, we have provided 10 million rupiah for the number one winner. The second is 8 million rupiah. The third winner is 6 million rupiah. And the fourth is 5 million. And the last is 4 million rupiah. Whereas the short video competition, we divided into two platforms, Instagram and TikTok. All has the same amount of prize. The first winner can win 5 million rupiah. Second is 3 million rupiah, and the third is 2 million rupiah. The same goes to the TikTok video submission. So I believe that's all the introduction on Easy Cash and Fintopia Group. And hopefully this helps to know better about Easy Cash and Fintopia Group as a whole. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I'll continue to the moderator. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Wildan. Okay, now next we will have moving to our one of the main agenda for today. We have the signing of MoU and exchange documents. So we would like to invite Professor Insinyur M. Aman Wirakarta Kusuma, PhD, as Director of IPMI Institute, and Bapak Nuki Pujiarjo, Director Utama Fintopia Indonesia, to come forward and stand in front of the table.
And we would also like to invite the representatives from Fintopia and IPMI, and therefore we would like to invite Mr. Jimmy Gani, the President Commissioner of PT Indonesia Fintopia Technology, and Ibu Utami Handayani Arifin to please come forward to be the witnesses of the MoU signing. All right. To Professor Aman and Bapak Nuki, you may start with the signing. And you may exchange the document. And please show the document to the camera for us to documentation the MoU signing ceremony.
Okay, please give a round of applause.
All right. Okay, and then for Professor Aman, Bapak Nuki, and all the witnesses, please turn around and face the stage as we would like to have a photo session to commemorate this event with all the participants here. I think it's okay for the participants to remain seated, yeah, Nisa.
Yes, okay, so you can face the stage since the photographer will be on the stage.
Right, for the photographer, you may come up to the stage, yes. All right. Please look at the camera, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. Yes, you can raise your hands up. All right. One more. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. And thank you for the applause for the successful MoU signing event. Hopefully this will open more opportunities for us to strengthen our collaboration.
Okay, so
I'm sorry. Yes?
Points of this MoU assignment.
Okay, so everyone, we are having this MoU signing because it's not only witnesses by the representatives of IPMI and Fintopia, but also the participants here and online, because we have, in this MoU signing, we have 5 case areas with the scope of cooperation in the MoU as such for the academic programs, career development, research and development, the student engagement and content creation. And this is mainly beneficial for the students.
Yes, it's very exciting, right? I see that one point The students will be offered internship opportunities and project to enhance, so you can get a very precious opportunities and experiences to learn from one of the biggest fintech in Indonesia.
All right. But I think due to the time, let us proceed as now we will move to another main event for today, the sharing session from Mr. Jackal Ma, the President Director of Tongdun Indonesia and co-founder of Tongdun Group, on how fintech innovations are reshaping access to finance.
For this matter, we would like to invite our moderator for today, Ibu Lia Hadiati, MBA, who will give an introduction about this event and lead the sharing session. Ibu Lia, the stage is yours.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, Bapak Ibu izin to just melting down the situation. We just actually usually do kind of ice breaking for the training ya Bapak izin. So, would you students and all participants when I call semangat pagi, you shout pagi, 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 luar biasa. Can you do that, all everyone? Okay, and then one more. When I shout IPMI Institute and you shout extraordinary. Get it? Let's try. Semangat pagi. Luar biasa. IPMI Institute, extraordinary. Okay, thank you. Let's have applause for all of us. Well, Bapak Ibu, ladies and gentlemen, teman-teman students, actually like weeks ago gitu, I received phone from Ibu Rifa and she asked me to to moderate this special occasion, and it's honored for me. Especially thank you for the trust. And we kind of have a short introduction, but let us do kind of informal. Teman-teman, students, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, can we have a round of applause for Mr. Jackal Ma, would you mind? Thank you. Apa kabar Bapak? Do you speak bahasa Indonesia for a little? No? No, okay, you should. Later, please have a seat. May I sit ya Bapak Ibu? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen and students, actually this topic, this material that Mr. Ma will, it's kind of very, what is it? Very up to date matters, very up to date industry related to that ya Pak Maya, and very sexy. And because of what? Because the wording of financial inclusion, they touch very bottom. I mean the maybe middle to low economy people, which is maybe most of Indonesian. Why is that and how is that? But it's actually the challenging question maybe will coming from our student, Pak Ma. May I greet some of the students because we have like 6 classes joining this session. May I shout student coming from leadership class? Okay. And student from international marketing class? Okay. The more exciting, the good, better. International economics class? Okay. Introduction to business class? Nice. Financial risk management? Okay. And last but not least, Bahasa Indonesia class? Because they are the new students actually. But even though they are coming from Bahasa Indonesia class, Mr. Ma, actually they learn a lot about, they do have a business class. So again, challenging question will be coming from a student. I've challenged all of you to give very constructive and challenging question for the Bapak Jackal Ma. But then let me ask Pak Jackal Ma the very light question, Pak. Mr. Ma, you are here now with such as experience in the technology financial inclusion, AI. But actually, what is your childhood dream? Are you dreaming to become the technocrat, something like this? Or maybe actually past before you're not dreamed to be like this?
Well, like this is a very interesting question. I'm going to talk about it like through my talk. My dream is really about civilization.
Civilization.
How we can advance civilization better than the way we have been doing in the past. I think it lies with knowledge. It lies with how we are going to share rather than how we're going to fight. So I think that's really my dream. With technology, I believe we can do better as a civilization.
What's a noble teman-teman dari kecil udah civilization dreamingnya. Okay, that's another light question, Pak. I heard you are several times back and forth to Indonesia, and okay, may I know what's your favorite Indonesian food?
Gee, I like a lot. I like the oxtail soup a lot. So like that's one thing that I really like.
Okay, oxtail soup. I mean, from Hotel Borobudur is the most famous ya Pak Jim itu. Pak Jim langsung yes.
I like the duck as well, right?
Okay. Oh, nice. Okay. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's quite enough for the light question maybe. And then let's move to the very serious one. Okay, Pak Jackal Ma, may I just read a few story about you? Actually, he's a seasoned technology executive entrepreneur with a diverse background spanning multiple countries and industry. And Mr. Ma held a senior roles in IBM, RBC, AXA, ya Pak? And also, last but not least, he is the co-founder of Tongdun Group Technology, a leading provider of AI power risk management solution. And then, well, inisiatifnya, it's AI-based decision intelligence platform and touch to the small, medium, and micro enterprises. Pak Jackal Ma, would you just have your time to deliver the main session? Ladies and gentlemen, kita kasih tepuk tangan.
Okay. Well, every time I come like to a university, to a business school, it's really exciting because I like to talk to students. I think I like to talk to future business leaders. Like I see a lot of future business leaders here, and then I would like to pass on like my experience so that you guys like will think differently what you're going to do in the future, how you're going to do with the knowledge that you get from the business school. So today I'm going to share with you like a very interesting topic about inclusion, equality, and how technology can affect us. But before that, like I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm not going to read through my resumes and what I've done and so on, but I want to sum up what I've done in my life, which is affecting how I view business, how I view innovations. I will summarize what I've done in the last few decades in 4 different stages. The first stage, okay, I actually built the world's first electronic purse that's based on like RFID, okay? So it's a card called Octopus in Hong Kong. So I'm the chief architect of that system. I built from scratch a system that supports 7 million people like every day going back and forth doing multiple things in a city. Well, the interesting thing is we changed the world because you don't use coins anymore. You do a lot of things electronically. But when do I do that? It's 1994. So like at that time, you don't even have internet. Like how do you use electronic purse, RFID, and so on and so forth? It's very interesting. It changes a lot of people's life. And after that, over 150 cities have their cities electronic purse based on the architecture that are formed. So I think I've helped a lot of people, change a lot of people's life, make life better. So that's what I've done at my early stage. And then I started to go around Greater China, ASEAN, doing a lot of channel reforms on banks. Like in the past, everybody go to branch. I remember lining up for hours and hours, like when I go to a bank, and then we do a lot of electronic channels reform. I do that in ASEAN, in Greater China, and like some of the largest banks around the region, and then help doing a lot of that. I think it really helped changing the whole industry from very, I would say, cash-based, very branch-based into very electronic-based. I think that's like very meaningful. You really changed the whole industry. And then after that, I started to look at what AI, big data can do. And I started to found a company called Tongdun. I work for a company in US as well, where I get a lot of the ideas and I say, hey, I want to use big data, AI, to change a country where we can fight crime, we can change the financial inclusions. And then I started that, doing a lot of that in China. And then we are very successful in China. Like I give you one number, then you understand. Every day, just like worldwide right now, I receive about 6 to 7 million pieces of application, loan application, evaluate through my system, trying to give out loans. So 6 million to 7 million pieces of application, loan application every day. So that's how big the system is. We really changed the whole country in China. And after that, I come out of China and say, hey, this technology, we need to go around and change the world. Well, the reason why I want to talk to you about all this is there is one common theme of everything that I've done in the past. It's about changing the society. It's about making the society a better place. Well, I can tell you one thing. This is something very addictive. Once you have like success in one of them, you want to do more. You want to do more for the society. It's very self-fulfilling. And I think like that's the theme of my discussion today. How do we do more to the society? How do we do business innovations? And then, well, on one hand, get your financial returns as a business leader, but on the other hand, like make the world a better place. This is what I want to tell everybody. So I think it's a very interesting picture that I want to show you. The one on the right top is when I first started this Tongdun group, I have 13 persons. This is the 13 person that I have. Okay, it's like 11 years ago I started. And then right now, we have 1,400 people across 6 countries, like globally. We are affecting a lot of people's life. Well, when we found this company, it's really about social meaning as well. We think the world is not equal. It's a divided world from digital perspective as well as financial perspective. How do we use technology to really change it, bridge all these gaps? So this is like really why I started this company. So talking about a divided world, I think we go around, well, on LinkedIn, I have an article talking about the digital divide. So after the pandemic, actually, the digital divide is actually become wider because a lot of people are forced into the digital world, like it or not, but they are not really that digitally literate. They don't know what type of risk they're exposing themselves. Some people lost their lifetime saving going online, like because people don't understand, they're not well educated enough. So this is what like I really think is important. These days, the technologies or digitally savvy people versus the digital illiterate people, they are being treated differently. So financially, there's that gap as well. So that's why on the right-hand side, I think we have more and more gaps. We have digital gaps, so people that's digitally savvy versus those are not. People that's financially savvy versus not, they are included. Some of them are included, some of them are not. And then if you look around the whole world, what's happening right now, it's pretty sad. I think like we are at a time of history where equality and humanity is heavily challenged across the whole group. So if we look at it, we really want to use technology to help bridging these gaps. But I cannot control these countries, these governments not to go into war. But I think at least as a technologist, as a business person, I can have a lot of business model innovation that can help making the world equal. And today I'm going to talk a lot more about how we can do that. If I go around, I remember like at G20, B20, at World Economic Forum, and a lot of other occasions that I participate, and APEC forums and things like that. I think the main theme about digital inclusion and financial inclusion is being discussed everywhere. And that's where I think we can focus a lot of how do we use the technology to bridge the gap. And today I'm going to talk a lot more about that. So as future business leaders, I think I rely on all of you to think about more than just how much money you're going to make. I think we all need to think about how we can create social impact, how we can make this world more equal, bridging the equality gap, and how do we make the world a better place. And I'm going to show you my recipe of how to do that. Well, this is the area that I do, okay? I think is what I call equality-based business model innovation. So a lot of this is based on how I can make this world better, and then I form my business model innovations, and then started to have very successful business model around. And I urge a lot of you to think along that line. If you have a business ideas of how you're going to do better business, be it under certain like business leadership, or you're going to found your own company, think about like how you can make the world a more equal place, because that's going to carry you a long, long time. So these are the 4 areas that I'm going to explain to you. It's really about connecting dots. So if you can connect a lot of the dots, then it's going to be good. How you're going to work closely with the government, because a lot of this equality thing is not only about doing it commercially. You need a lot of support and cooperation with the government as well. And then like focus on the weak communities. I'm going to talk a lot more about that. And then ultimately, I want to talk about my passions on the civilization as well. And these are my recipe. So the first one, okay, when I think about business innovations is, well, normally in every business arena, you have a lot of dots that you need to connect them together. 10 years ago, I look at this graph, which is very complicated. We talk about all the technologies that we can use in making decisions, big data, AI, and all the scenarios that we can use this, maybe in anti-money laundering, we maybe in like fraud, maybe in credit, and a lot of other areas. We can use this. This is a very complex like graph that I don't expect everyone to understand. But when you think about it, well, like these are technologies, these are not innovations. So the first thing that I do is I look at this technology, how can I use it as my tool for business innovations? Well, 10 years ago, I created a word called cross-industry joint defense. So when I say we need to work together using technologies, in the past, we are fighting the bad guys, the fraudsters, one company versus a bunch of fraudsters. So we are the weaker party, because normally there's a lot of fraudsters around. They cooperate with each other. You're the one who get the list. You're the one who like talk about how you're going to launder the money and so on and so forth. They are a group of people versus one individual countries. So I'm saying, hey, we need to connect the dots and like make everybody started to connect. And the name of my company in China called Tongdun, actually the English representation is called a common shield. So we are forming a common shield against the bad people. This is connecting the dot. And then interestingly, 10 years later, last month in Bangkok, I participated in a global risk conference with MasterCard. And this is what MasterCard is saying. They are saying like really the fraudsters are cooperate with each other. So we need to cooperate with each other even better to counter what the fraudsters are doing. So after 10 years, I'm very happy that like finally it echoed to some of the larger organizations of the world saying, hey, we need to do that together. So connecting the dots is what's very important. And this is my vision 10 years ago. I say, hey, we want to construct a global trust intelligence network and then connecting everything together. For example, I know about all the devices, all the bad guys in the whole world. I know about how they move around. Later on, I'm going to tell you, like, for example, one group of people that we found in Indonesia really doing bad things on the fintechs, doing frauds on the fintechs and so on. After we find them, they actually go to Peru and continue their operation. And then we detect them in Peru. So like these people are moving around, and the only way we can try to fight them is by connecting the dots, do a bird's eye view globally to find these people and try to prevent fraud from happening. And that's like really the connecting the dot, the number one things I think like for my business innovation recipe, very important point. Well, connecting the dots is very interesting. And I started to do a lot of that like around the region. I think the people on the fraudsters really hate me. My friends started to tell me, hey, Jackal, maybe you need to hire a bodyguard around because like you really are eating into a lot of people's lunch. So these people probably hate you. Well, but I'm fine. I think they like probably won't recognize me. So I'm still traveling around without a bodyguard, but like that's how bad it is. So the second thing that in my recipe is really about, if we connect the dots, that's one thing, but I need a lot of support from governments. I think Professor Ahmed talked about policies and things like that. And then I can tell you, I actually start doing a lot of work around the governments. Just last 2 months, I talked to 5 central banks around like different continents, trying to talk to them about policies, talk to them about what can be done to make financial inclusion better. For example, how do we make access to finance from micro SMEs easier? Like all these things is requiring a lot of support from the government. And then fraud, like you need that as well. So these are the few areas that I normally talk to, okay, in my business, like innovations. I need to lobby a lot of central banks. Well, I talk to a lot of the central banks about their policies, also really about education as well. Because a lot of central banks agree with me. I think this fraud sometimes is because people are not financially literate. So financial literacy program, how people graduate from, I don't understand credit. I don't know how do I accumulate credit to, okay, now I know how to do that. So like we need to talk to a lot of the central banks, KYCs, like know your customers, people, central banks need to do a lot of that. And I need to talk to them about that. I help a lot of central banks around the world doing anti-money laundering. For example, in Middle East, in UAE, in Saudi, and places like that, they really want to shake away from, okay, these are countries where a lot of people do money laundering. So the central banks invite us to help them to structure, how do I do better as a country's name card? Okay, we are not a money laundering place. You can come and be like confidence that you can do business here. So I talked to a lot of central banks on these things as well. Talked to a lot of different finance ministers like around, and then they really a lot of them worry about how do I make micro SMEs better. So around the region, especially, I focus a lot on emerging market where they need a lot of help. And a lot of emerging markets, their GDP, a big part of their GDP is carried by micro SMEs, by small organizations, not only the few like large organizations and so on. So the finance ministers really say, hey, how do I help this so that it will bring up the whole country's GDP? If you look at Indonesia, that's exactly the situation. Micro SME has become such an integral part of the whole economy. We need to help. And then like later on, I'm going to tell you what we can do on that, but I do talk to a lot of finance ministers on that. And then like the regulators. Very interestingly, Indonesia, I talked to Ojeka a lot, and I just like told my friend during lunch, I participate in the world's longest sandbox program from Ojeka. Like when I participate in some other sandbox program in the world, it's normally 6 months, 1 year, 18 months. I just participate and graduate from one sandbox program in Indonesia, 5 years. So like they said, okay, like we think it's a good idea. We don't know whether we can control it. Let's put it in a sandbox. But we're in a sandbox for 5 years. And then that's the first thing that I've ever done in the whole world. Like it's really long, but I need to talk to them. Okay, how do we put the legal framework around and so on? And then like we also need the regulators to help us to do a lot of help. How do you really encourage, for example, rural banks to participate? So OJK actually helped me to do a lot of things around BPRs. So how the BPRs actually don't have a lot of technology. They don't know how to protect themselves. So how do I put in fraud detection system to help the BPRs and so on become very important. But without OJK's help to tell these people, hey, you need to work with like company like Jackals to do fraud detections, it's very difficult. So that's why I need to work with regulators a lot. And then I work with law enforcement a lot, okay? These fraudsters, you need to work with law enforcement to catch them. And then like also, for example, in China, we have a detection system. If an elderly person all of a sudden go to a bank branch saying that I need to transfer all my money to this place, and then we find out that there's a high chance that this is fraud, this is telecom scam. We actually have a system detecting that. I need to work with law enforcement because these elderly people don't believe the system. They said, oh, my daughter is in danger. I need to transfer this money and so on and so forth. We actually need the law enforcement people to go to the branch. We stop the transaction and explain to the elderly people, we don't want them to lose their lifetime saving, right? So that's why we work a lot with the law enforcement people to really prevent these telecom scams from happening and so on. We need to trace the bad guys, and then like people using our data actually catch the bad guys as well and so on. So that's what we do. And then we need to educate, for example, the elderly people, the weak community, saying that, hey, you don't like transfer money like that. This is very dangerous. And then we work with a lot of the financial investigation, fraud investigation units around the world. So I think it's very important. You connect the dots, you work with government, and then after that, you focus on the weak community. That's what we do. And then there's two areas that I want to talk about in this topic. One is financial inclusion, the other is digital inclusion, and I'll tell you how we can achieve that. So first, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about a very interesting framework. People say, hey, you have these millions and millions of transactions every day that you're working on. How do you do that? Well, we actually, like people will come to us and say, hey, can you help assessing the risk, the credit, and so on? They will come to me through an API, application programming interface. They say, hey, Jackal, help me to evaluate it. And then we are going to pass it into our model evaluations. So there's a lot of AI and machine learning and models at the back end. we evaluate and then come back with the result, give the evaluation results back to like our customers. These can be fraud, credit, or like acquisitions and so on and so forth. And then the very important thing is the number 5th area, which is there need to be a continuous optimization path. So remember this graph, because I'm going to talk about this again and again as like how we can use technology to solve these problems on financial inclusion and so on. I think the problem with financial inclusion, if you look at around the world, most problem is people, the banks, the financial institution don't understand who they are dealing with. So a lot of organizations, a lot of countries, their banks are saying, hey, if you want to borrow money from me, I need collaterals. Without collaterals, I'm not going to like do the lending. And then gradually you find out that only about 10% of the populations are included in the whole lending process. That's not good enough. So that's why we need to use technology to evaluate these people and then use that to really, okay, what's these people's social behavior? What's these people's additional information, such as how long have they been using their current phone? That's going to, like if their phone, they have been using exactly the same number for the last 10 years, they have a much higher score versus a person who will change their phone number every 3 months. So like you really started to use a lot of what we call alternative data to gather behavior, gather information and so on. And then this person who power up his machine, okay, the first thing after he power up his phone is to go and borrow money. How many people do that? That's quite rare. So the risk of somebody just power up their phone and the first thing that they do is to go and borrow money. If you're a financial institution, you need to know about that. That's not right. Their phone have like, for example, like 256 gigabyte of information of memory. They only use 10% of it. And then they come and try to borrow money. That's not a normal phone. And then we have situations where people are still on US time zone when they come and apply for a loan. That's not the right thing. So we use a lot of alternative data to help evaluate these people. Even though in the credit bureau, we don't have information for these people, we have other environmental informations that's going to prove, okay, can we at least try to trust these people and so on. So this is how we use alternative data to evaluate people. People come to me, I think starting in 2014, 2015, people come to me and say that, hey, like, I think this is great. We are the first mover in alternative data in the whole globe. The reason why I say that is like during 2014, 2015, like Oxford, Cambridge, UCLA, as well as Nomura come to Hangzhou to visit me and say that, hey, guys, you guys are one of the very first one to do this worldwide. And then they even published book. I have a Japanese, like 100% Japanese book from Nomura that they sent to me as a souvenir. The only thing that I can recognize in this whole book is there's an English, like with my name and my company's name in there. But it's so good because like we really changed the industry by encouraging alternative data and things like that. So I think that's very interesting. Right? That's how we do the credit risk. With all this alternative data, we can help really creating models that can predict whether these people are going to default or not. We actually help creating model that had a lot of predictability. In this case that I've shown, we actually compare with a lot of other people because of the usage of alternative data do much better in our customers such as Bank BRI, Mandiri, they are all our customer, or even in places like Pegadaian where you really start to lend to a very different customer segment. You can use the same type of technology. So this is what I call like credit risk innovations that we can help the financial inclusion scene. So we help the weaker people. When you think about it, like we, as a company, because we are a Temasek company, so Temasek is one of our major investor. And in year 2022, they actually asked us to do a social impact analysis. So they do a couple of countries, and they take a look at our operation in Indonesia. And we find out that in year 2022, we helped 20 million Indonesians who doesn't have any record in the credit bureau, and they cannot borrow any money from the bank. We help them to graduate, okay, and get loans, and then gradually get into the financial system. And then they graduate into the banking systems and so on and so forth. So that's really the impact that we create. I'm pretty happy that Temasek forced us to do this social impact analysis, because that gives me very positive feedback. So that's like the financial side. And then on the area of micro SMEs, we need not only these alternative data. I need a lot of information from the government. For example, like this small restaurant, how do I know that it's real or not? They say that they are restaurant owner. They come to me and say, I want to borrow money. I can tell you, restaurants have very specific usage of water, electricity, very specific environmental emission. So if you go to all these information, gather them, and then you know, oh, okay, this is probably a real one. And then you probably will know, okay, I can trust them and so on. So I need to work with government when evaluating micro SMEs and so on. So that's like the example that I give is during the pandemic, in one of the city in China, we actually helped tens of thousands of companies getting loans from financial institutions by working together with the government, creating models to estimate whether they are good one or bad one. And then during pandemics, I love these people need cash to bridge the gap. Okay, we through this system actually help a lot of companies from going bankrupt. And the model is accurate because, like, sure enough, the people that we predict that's going to return the money, they do return the money. So I think this is all data science that we use, and it's very exciting that we help all these people. This is just a picture of the operating center, like in China, that they have, like doing micro SME lending. This is a joint venture between me and the government, the local government there as well. So I think we can do a lot of that. And then in Indonesia, we are working with people like Bank Mandiri on some of these MSME as well. But I think we can definitely do more. I think we can like work more into the rural area and things like that in the long run. So, like, as I've mentioned, we need the MSMEs, we need the government participation, we need the financial institution, as well as like the technology company like ours. All four of them working together, then we can help the MSME. I actually, we are building a system for countries in Africa, in Western Africa. The government is building system like this to really evaluate what money they should be lending to these small companies, micro SMEs and so on. So I think like we are affecting a lot of people's life in places like Indonesia, in places like Congo, Ghana, and a lot of other people like other places as well. So I'm proud because I think these are true financial inclusion. These are true social meaning. You help these people and then they really bridge the gap and become like a much stronger organization. So the first one is about financial inclusions I talk about. The second one that I want to talk about on the inclusion area is digital inclusion. Well, when I say digital inclusion, really the world's #2 economy, do you know what is, who is it? A lot of people told me China, but I can tell you it's not. The world's #2 economy is the dark economy. Okay, so when they do the calculations, the GDP of the dark economy is anywhere between US and China. This is how big it is. So Every year, a lot of money go into the dark economy and then they disappear from everybody's positive GDP. I think that's why like we want this digital world to be more included so the people are not going to lose their lifetime saving digitally. So that's what we are called digital inclusion. So like there's a lot of cyber attack as Professor Ahmed has mentioned. And then I talked to a lot of people from Gartner and they're saying, hey, these days fraud and cyber, they actually come hands in hand. And then the cyber people and the fraud people, they divide their work so carefully among the multiple group of people. They work so closely. Okay, you are the one who go to the store to try to use this credit card that you stole. You are the one that go online to see whether you can buy things from this credentials and so on and so forth. But I'm the one going into that database to find out like possible like information about fraud and so on. So we really see very, very good like divisions of labor among the bad guys. With that, that's why with all this increased complexity and the bad guys really divide themselves, we need to be better. That's why we use like our technology to say, hey, can I catch these people? This is one of the things during the Mastercard conference last month, they asked me to say, Jackal, can you look at your North America server to find out all these fraud, like do they have characteristics that you can identify? So this is the identification that I have in the last 6 months in my North American server. The fraud that's been committed in Canada and US, a lot of them is when the phone have virtual private network, when the phone actually have no SIMs, they're pretending to run simulations, and then a lot of them get rooted or ADB, like the developer mode, as well as some of the time zone problem, device problem, and so on. So with that, I can actually use the device intelligence to prevent this fraud from happening. This is what we do. And then we help a lot of people to prevent from losing a lot of their monies. And then like a lot of these started with there's phishing, and then people get all the informations, and then they will start selling it. They will start testing the data, and then they will sell it to the next one. The next one is going to create a card, or they are going to do it like online and so on and so forth. So this is the example that I tell you. On the top right-hand side is the company originally is in Indonesia and Thailand. And after they are being caught there, they just moved to Peru and Colombia. So like this is how worldwide these people are, but like we actually catch them. So I'm pretty happy that we have done that as well through this whole process. And then like this is really talking about the division of labor. So people are trying to get the information. They put it in a factory that everybody start saying, hey, I want to buy this. They even have a testing system. Say, hey, I want to tell you that this is real data. You can test it. I'll give you some sample. You test it, then like you can believe me. You can like buy the data from me. Then you can commit your fraud. So they really divide their work like very carefully between them, and then the people who monetize and so on. So with that, that's why like we like need to work together as a global intelligence network. Well, I put this over to tell you. These days, we do a lot of facial recognition. There's a lot of way people are putting in printed masks. People are doing a lot of different things around it. And then with generative AI, people are doing deepfake and so on as well. So with that, it's so difficult to identify whether you're really talking the person or not. This KYC becomes so difficult. Like you have all this APP to ask you to nod your head or blink your eyes and so on and so forth. That's no longer very, very safe place. So we need to have better way to like counter these as well. And we use our device intelligence. And so there's a lot of telecom fraud. And the last one that we work on in Thailand, they actually catch like quite a bit of people, like 14,000 people get arrested. And like these telecom frauds, people are saying, hey, Jackal, telecom fraud, how does it get to do with you guys? these are people calling, right? But through a telecom fraud, they need to monetize somewhere. The money, okay, need to go through a couple of passes so that you cannot trace them anymore. So they ask the person to transfer money to the first account. And then within the first 10 minutes, they're going to transfer it to a lot of different accounts in multiple passes. Well, when we catch this pattern, we know who's the first number. And then we say that, hey, this is a very suspicious transaction. We try to stop it right there, and then we help recovering a lot of the money and so on. So this is the type of things that we do, trying to prevent people from losing digitally. And I think that's what I always say, hey, we want this world to be digitally included. We need to save the weaker communities so that they can be online safely. So again, all this is through this graph again, like doing the device intelligence, doing the model, doing the behavior analysis, and say that, hey, there's a high likelihood that this is fraud. So we talk about the different inclusion, digital inclusion, financial inclusion, and this is my parting thoughts on this. I think so far we have over 300 million people that we have helped getting into the financial inclusion world. We have hundreds of thousands of micro SMEs that we have helped through our systems. And then I think the whole financial inclusion world is going to include more and more countries. I go to a lot of emerging markets these days trying to do that. And I think this impact is going to be very interesting. And then the next thing is we're going to extend that to rural. That's why we work a lot with the BPRs and then in Philippines and in Pakistan and so on. Agriculture. We're going to use technology to examine rice fields and then see how we can lend to farmers, lend to fishermen who really need these monies. So I think these are the key focus areas that we are seeing. And then new areas such as privacy, preserving computing really help sharing data without losing the privacy, without intruding on privacy and so on. So these are what we see from a technology perspective and business case perspective as well. So the last one, okay, after understanding, okay, what we do to the work community, what we do with the government, and then what we do with connecting the dots. The last one is really my view on knowledge. I think we are at a very important turning point in history where knowledge is really exploding because of AI, because of the knowledge revolutions. I think in the past, we talk about credit reporting, and then later on, we talk about alternative fraud bureau, credit bureau, and then gradually become decision bureaus. Well, when you have a decision, you ask, okay, well, you have to be very, very careful because these days you ask AI, you don't know whether it's right or wrong, and nobody's regulating that. So I'm talking to a lot of regulators saying that, how do we make sure these people who provide a lot of AI answers, is this the right one or wrong one, right? We need to start regulating some of these as well. And ultimately, this become what I call the Open Knowledge Bureau. I'm still finishing my book, so probably wait another 6 months, I'm going to finish my book on Open Decision Bureau. Well, the last slide, I talk about civilizations. These days, I think we are at a very important turning point where in the past, when you think back in history, how our civilization really advanced is by information arbitrage. So I know about this piece of land have better metal than yours, so I can create better weapons. So I'm going to fight yours because I know about this place. I know about something that you don't know. So in the last couple of thousand years, our civilization is always about, okay, I keep the knowledge to myself. I know more than you do. That's why I advance. And then you find something else that you know more than I do, then you advance. So we in the past is really competing rather than adding on to our knowledge. But I really believe with all the knowledge explosion that we're seeing right now, our civilization can do better. I think people can share knowledge and then see how everyone is going to use their knowledge better by advancing on, oh, who had a better model? Who had a better model to use this data, this knowledge, rather than, okay, I'll keep everything to myself. I think that's what I think is going to be interesting as we move on as a civilization. We advance through knowledge sharing rather than information arbitrage. And that's really my dream. I think like with technology, we can help a lot of that. And like you can see, probably like we're at a very important turning point in the last couple of thousand years, like we are turning where we started to add on to our knowledge. I think that's like going to be very, very interesting. I think some of this might not happen in our lifetime, but I think it will happen. So that's me and my presentation. Yeah, so.
Thank you, Pak Ma. You may have a seat and have a drink first. Okay. Audience and beloved students, may I ask the committee also, do you have a question from Zoom, Kaopit? And for those or students who would like to have a questions, you may deliver your question directly and through this microphone in the middle of the area. Yes, just come up and yeah. Any others? We open for 3 first in this room. Okay, you're next. Okay, Edmund first.
Can I start or the Zoom moves first?
Zoom aman ya, Zoom. Okay, okay, Edmund, you can introduce yourself and what class you're coming from.
I'm Edmund Matthew Wijaya from batch 2023. I'm in my second year. My question is, how will Tongdun will compete with their competitors, because no competitors were mentioned before. How would you differentiate than other competitors? That's it.
I think this is a very good question. When we first started our company, we have business model innovations that nobody has, like connecting the dots and all these things. But gradually, like people are catching up. So I think there's always a first mover effect. Like when you talk about innovation effort, you're the first one who innovate. With all this network effect, if you are there before other people, you accumulate a lot more information. For example, in the whole world, currently I have about 8 billion devices information. So because I started 10 years ago, so all these informations become a wealth to me that my competitors very difficult to catch me. So that's really some of our competitive advantage. And also all this knowledge, all these models and algorithms that we have. But we need to continue to have our innovations. Just like last week, my team told me that they have actually breakthrough 14,000 IDs across the globe that we can use our technology to identify, like different language, Arabic language, like Bahasa, like Philippine, Mexico, like everything, like with AIGC and with our technology and so on. This is how easy we can start to do that. So once you have the first mover, it's good, but also the competitive advantages, the relationship with the government, the trust from the countries and so on. One thing that I really am proud is every country that I go to, like we are welcomed by the local countries. They think we are doing good to the local countries. And I think that's a very good feeling. Like the governments really like us. So I'm welcomed by both hands normally. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay, okay, thank you. Another questions?
Sorry. My name is Harits. So yeah, thank you for coming to us, presenting a very good knowledge to us. I love your energy. And then there's a lot of, you're talking about your vision about changing the world, civilization, and I'm very interested in that. So I have like a thought in my mind about, while looking at our country, there's a lot of poverty. A lot of people don't have education, especially this financial education. Yeah, I wonder how your company develop a technology, right? Then do you have some sort of any CSR doing education, especially you're talking about a lot of the point that you're making is about educating the people, educating the weak communities, while in Indonesia it's very hard to do that, especially if you don't have a backup from the government. So do you already in the process of doing that while educating the masses, the weak communities and working with governments? And how do you do that? Thank you.
Yeah, well, I really like these questions because I will divide it into two areas. When we are working in Indonesia, like we normally have the B2B route. Our customers are normally the banks, the financial institutions, or the Gojek and people like that. And then like we normally together with regulators, okay, try to educate these companies on what they need to do to help protecting the public that's using their services. That's the first part. So it's a B2B. We need to at least have all these people who's using our technology, they understand how they should protect the people that's using their APP, for example. And then the second one is we work with law enforcement a lot in providing financial literacy programs. That's two parts of it. Well, digital literacy program is about educating people about scams, putting in a lot of like videos telling them that they shouldn't do this, they shouldn't do that. We do a lot of that. And then also we need to tell like with law enforcement, tell people, okay, what they need to be beware of. Okay, so there's a whole series of things that law enforcement and police are working together with us on educating the public. So the two routes, one is the B2B route together with the organizations. The second route is B2C route, normally with law enforcement. Yes, please.
Another confirmation, Harits, please.
Yeah, so I heard that you working well with the government and with the regulators to educate the people about the securities and frauds. I wonder what about the capability or the ability of weak communities to get capital. As you know, it's very hard to start a business without a capital, and especially those who cannot afford to get those in normal banks. And then yeah, I believe that people like them should be able to have their own they need to have their their own business so they can progress, maybe go beyond. As you know, the world is progressing so fast and economy is as we know, it's very hard for those people because economy is changing in maybe prices has been gone up so high, but the income is not increasing that well. So how about the capital?
Well, this is about like financial inclusion, like how do we cover more people? Like as you mentioned right now, the financial inclusion is only covering a very small amount of people. We all want to expand that. I would say in the last few years, like we have been increasing that quite well. But like you see, I mentioned rural area. I think in Java and Greater Jakarta area and so on and so forth, we are doing a lot better than before. But if you started to go to the islands and the rural area and so on, they're not as well. As a company, I think like we work closely with an organization like Fintopia. You look at Fintopia, Easy Cash, that's what they do. Okay, they create a lot of education on, okay, who are the good lenders that you should go to, how you should like borrow money and so on. I remember when I'm having my vacation in like Komodo, I asked these people around and they said that like in Labuan Bajo, and they said, oh, we don't know that we can borrow money that way. Like people don't understand, right? So we work with our partners such as Fintopia and so on. Like we provide the tools so that they are saying, hey, with these tools, I can lend money to these people. And now is our partner like Fintopia, they will go around and say that, hey, like you don't need to go to the loan shark. There's other ways, right? And so on. So I think this is really happening around, and I'm pretty happy with what's happening in the last few years. I think the country has gone a long way. We still have a long, long way to go, but I think right now when you compare Indonesia with a lot of other countries around, Indonesia actually doing quite well already. So I'm hopeful in that.
Thank you very much for your answer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Haris. Any other questions? Dan, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Jackal Ma, for showing up today at IPMI. My question is actually in relation to the unbanked population. So actually, Indonesia's has 50% of the population still remains unbanked, which actually shocked me when I learned that like this semester. And I would like to know, how do you see fintech, especially in regards to risk management, with solutions offered by Tongdun contributing to the financial inclusion in Indonesia? Thank you.
Actually, like we talk about this all the time. Like every time we have meeting with OJK, we have meeting around the associations like FP, FTech. We talk about this all the time. I think right now, as I said, I think the urban area, the coverage is a lot better. Our major problem is like, that's why I talk about rural, I talk about aqua and agri. These are the area that we really need to start like thinking about what we need to do. And I think like with technology, if we can cover the farmers and the fishermen a lot better, that's one area that we can really increase that. And we're working on technology on that. But also like the rural area, if you look at how BPRs like are being set up right now, in the past, they don't have any ability to do some of these things. If you don't have collateral, I'm not going to lend money to you. But right now, gradually, they started to understand that, and then we're providing technology for that. But for me, it's very difficult for me to go to all these rural area and rural islands and so on and so forth. That's why we partner. For example, Ata Jasa is a very important partner of ours, like that help us to cover a lot of the rural area. Like Telco Sigma, for example, also helped me to do a lot of that as well. So I think those are like our push, aqua, rural, agri, as well as like working with the BPRs and so on. I think like the technology is there. It's just that we need to push it. And OJK, like I myself and my team follow OJK to do all the rural provinces to tell these rural banks, okay, you guys should use this. You guys can do this for a lot of people and so on and so forth. Because these people don't even go online sometimes, right? So like, because for them, they don't need to buy anything over e-commerce, right? They walk across the street and then they buy something. It's so easy. They buy something through like Lazada, it takes them like 7 days to get what they want. So they don't do that. So without that information, what do? We work with the local BPRs, and then we work with the villages and things like that. We really need to do more, but I think we're only at the beginning of that. Like we will have to continue in the next 3 to 5 years to really increase the coverage. I think, well, you say 50% is low, but like compared to a lot of other countries around, I think Indonesia is already like ahead, I would say.
How's then?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Jackal Ma, for your answer.
Thank you. Any other questions? Not only student, Bapak Ibu, from the faculty, maybe you have question. Ibu Rifa? Oh yeah, please, Ibu.
Empowerment, yeah. Thank you, Pak Jackal Ma. This is very funny that when I mentioned to our students that, okay, people, I said on Tuesday we will have a guest lecture. And I did mention that he is related to Fintopia. And I said Easy Cash, and everybody knew who Easy Cash was. And then very interestingly that the students please sit down. Tolong. Okay, tolong duduk. And one of the students asked me, itu kan pinjol. Pak Jackal Ma, paham pinjol? Apa itu Pak Nuki? I'd like to invite Pak Nuki and Pak Jimmy Gan to explain. Online lender. Now, the term pinjol is not very popular in Indonesia. Now, I don't know whether Pak Jackal Ma can answer this, or maybe I'd like to invite Pak Jimmy Gani or Pak Nuki. So, because there was a question to me, Bu Rifa, why are you inviting pinjol over to IPMI? Of course, I did mention pinjol allows financial inclusion. However, the term pinjol in Indonesia somewhat has a slight negative connotation, yeah. So why, in your opinion, and maybe with the help of Pak Jimmy and Pak Nuki, why is that? Who is to be responsible? Because for sure, you have a very honorable mission, which is financial inclusion. But then something went wrong in Indonesia. And I think the students understand what I'm saying. So perhaps maybe I can invite Pak Jimmy or Pak Nuki. I'll give the mic to you. I'll just take it off here. Or maybe Pak Jackal Ma, you want to respond to that? Or would you like?
I will first start it. When I first started business in Indonesia in 2018, 2019, a lot of lenders come to me. Some of these lenders are good lenders. Some of these lenders are bad lenders. I started to work with OJK, and OJK saying that, hey, it's good that you're bringing in technology. I tell you, these are the people that you should be working with. These are the people that you shouldn't be working with. Then I started to know, okay, we need to find responsible lenders who is not going to push people into a negative cycle. We need to find and then promote that. So right now we need to change the public's opinion. And I think Pak Jimmy, Pak Nuki, you guys have a lot of work to do in terms of changing this opinion. Easy Cash is one of the most noble lenders around. They do everything through data science. They never do aggressive collections because they believe in the data science and everything else and so on. So I have a lot of respect to that. And then I think regulators probably need to work more on trying to prevent these other bad lenders from around as well. I can tell one story. I even know of I don't know whether I will personally be in danger by saying that, but I know of one platform. They have one legal lender license, and then they have 8 APP that is bad, charge a lot of interest rate. And what happened is when somebody go to their platform saying that I want 500,000 rupiah, I want to borrow that. They said that no, you're not allowed because your credit record is not there and so on. They then disperse this request to the 8 platform that they have. That's illegal. And every one of them give 500,000 to this person. And do you know what that is going to make that person? That person is going to be very irresponsible with his money and then push them into the negative cycle and so on. But regulators need to look at ways to prevent that. In the industry, we provide all the positive things and so on and so forth. We need to work closely with association and regulators in how do we prevent that from happening as well. I think that's still happening in Indonesia. I think we are doing a lot of things in terms of publicly, as I've seen in some of these campaigns saying that how do you promote the positive, responsible lenders and responsible borrowing behavior? How do you educate the people and so on? So that's what I see. And I don't know whether Pak Jimmy probably can add to that.
Okay, maybe Pak Jimmy would like to enrich what has Pak Man said about the phenomena.
Okay, thank you. So let me explain this and put this into context. So thank you so much, Prof. Aman Burifa, for bringing up the question. I think this is a very important and critical stage for Indonesia. When I was still here in 2017, we actually started a movement called the National Financial Literacy Movement. So one of the key person was Pak Eko Pratomo, who is an IPMI graduate. He's an expert in finance from IPMI, and I think that his noble mission was one of the things that I saw could change Indonesia. Why? Because our financial literacy is very low in Indonesia. At that time, I think in 2017, it was less than 50%, whereas in Singapore, it's over 90%. No wonder Singapore can be very advanced, because Singaporeans not only can earn money more, but also they can manage the money, they can invest, they can use their financial literacy to actually be able to create from the wealth. Now, Indonesians, on the other hand, we have at the moment 285 million people. And here, what we have is the intellectuals. I had the privilege of serving during Pak Eko's time in the Ministry of Villages, where there are more than 75,000. In our time, there were 4,953 villages. Most of the people in the villages did not have not only financial literacy, but also they did not have access to finance, which means that they need to earn and also create wealth through the hard way, which is to farm, to become fishermen, and so on. So we need to understand the landscape of the finance industry in Indonesia, whereby there are more underbanked and unbankable people, because they do not have the credit history, they do not have the knowledge to go into the banks. Now, also the conventional banks, as we see it, they can only process so much. Like Pak Jackal Ma mentioned, he can process 6 million applicants in one day. Burifa used to work for a bank. I don't think you can reach that by far. For corporate, I think, only one day, maybe if you can reach 10 or 100, a day, that would be already big for conventional bank. Why? Because they don't use technology. Now, with the technology that is available with artificial intelligence, companies can actually assess so many applications within a day, and then they can actually assess whether to approve or not approve. To be frank, the applicants who actually apply for a loan, for example, at Easy Cash or any other platform, more than 90% are rejected because of the fact, even that 90% accounts for the 6 million people that is actually provided. Now, the problem is, because of this opportunity, so many people want to take advantage. And because of that, so many people seize these opportunities, a lot of irresponsible people and irresponsible companies actually take advantage of this, just like the investasi bodong and so on. So what happened is, most of the players in the fintech industry are actually unlicensed. 97% are unlicensed. In fact, you told me 8,000 companies are actually, in this industry that are illegal. And these are the so-called pinjols, the online lending platform. So what happened is that these irresponsible companies, they create that commotion and then the negative image for the industry. Now, you have to understand that if you can actually, that's why we do financial literacy as well. If you can actually access conventional, not many people actually want to access the online lending. The online lending are mostly a bridge from the unbankable and underbankable to become later on to have history in the bank and so on. Now, the problem is some people at the borrower side also nakal. They're naughty. They borrow and then they don't pay. They don't understand that this history of credit of borrowing will actually affect their credit history and credit scoring. Now, getting back to your question about the pinjol. So pinjol, the authority currently is trying to name that pinjol for the illegal ones, the 8,000. There are now how many? 80, 98 legal ones, including easy cash. So 98 versus 8,800, you said? About 8,000 that are illegals. Now, what we're trying to do is ensure that these 98 in the industry under OJK with AFPI and AFTEC as our association, we comply with the regulation and the very strict regulation that is bounded within the industry. So if we can change that, of course, it'll take a lot of time. This is, again, Fintopia 2017, and then only operated in 2018. Already 6 million. 6 million is a lot, yeah, compared to banks and so on. So yes, there is a negative stigma with the so-called pinjol that is associated with pinjaman online. So what we're trying to do is, look, the pinjol are the illegal ones, the 8,000 plus. But the legal ones are pindar, pinjaman daring, or apa kemarin ininya? Pindar ya, pindar, pinjaman daring. So we're trying to get this across, and we're trying to also improve the literacy, financial literacy of the people in the market. Panuki, wanna add that, or Mas Wildan? Okay, go ahead. Panuki is more capable for, he's the founder of Rumah 123, if you know. Rumah 123 and a lot of other startups. So he's been in the startup business for a long time.
Thank you, Pak Jimmy. Yes.
Selamat sore semuanya. Saya hanya punya satu pesan. So you guys are just, pretty soon you'll be working, you'll be graduating and working, or and there's a lot of, it's very easy now actually to borrow money, right? Either from the legal or the illegal ones. Mr. Jackal has probably one of the best technology for the risk mitigation, the fraud mitigation. But at the end, it all comes down to you, right? If you want to borrow, then really borrow when you really, really need it. Not because you want it, not because you want to buy an iPhone or you want to buy whatever, or you want to go to Bali for healing. No, borrow when you really, really need it. Do you know why? Tadi Pak Jimmy sudah touch base on credit scoring. But furthermore, more and more companies nowadays, they will check your credit scoring, your slick record when you apply for a job. This is already starting, and by the time you guys are gonna work, it's gonna be even more common. So it's really gonna be very, very sad. You are not, your job application is not accepted because you have a bad credit scoring. Not because you're not capable, but you have a bad credit scoring. So please, please remember this, right? I'd rather all of you start with zero when you work. I don't start with minus, because if you start with minus in your credit scoring or slick record, it's going to be tough. You're not going to be able to get a job. You're not going to be able to take credit buat beli mobil atau motor atau buat beli rumah juga will be very difficult. So, yeah, please remember this. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Lucky. Okay, I hope it's well explained ya teman-teman. There is one question coming from the Zoom, Mr. Ma. It's very quick and hopefully you can just respond to this. It's coming from Febrianti, hopefully masih join ya, still joining the Zoom. Mr. Jack Ma, what advice do you have for young leaders, actually these future leaders also, who would like to use technology innovation to create more inclusive and equal world? What do you suggest for them?
Well, like I think in the recipe that I have, I think you really have to think out of the box, think connecting. I think in the past, in the business models that we have, we normally will look at ourselves. We look at just technology itself. But with technologies these days, I think it's more about the network effect. So when I say connecting the dots, it's really about the network effect that technology can create. With these network effects, then you can affect a lot of people. You can accumulate a lot of knowledge to solve very complex problems. And then once you have the network effect, actually you can reach more people, make the world more equal. So like I always believe in that, I would say.
Thank you very much. Teman-teman, do we still have a time committee for question? One more question, Pak. There are two, okay. Pak Agus please, and then Mayang the last, yeah.
Thank you very much, moderator. Welcome, Jackal Ma, to IPMI. I do not have in the form of a question, but very much on making comments, actually. Connecting the dots. I would also encourage, and I'm also very encouraged for you to, the next step of your journey, particularly Indonesia, is to support the rural areas for responsible borrowing. One of the things that you want to think about is how can we stop loan sharks in the rural areas. But unfortunately, it is part of the culture. This is something, maybe there's a challenge, how to break that cycle, yeah? In a sense between rural empowerment, but also in borrowings. Another connecting the dots, at the moment, in particular with regards to agro commodities area, there is already a movement of how can we better make this economy much more responsible, and particularly how we can export agro commodity. And I hope that there is connecting the dots between your efforts for better borrowings and also accountability in a sense, be able to support on that particular areas moving forward Indonesia. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pak.
Thank you.
So can we just move to Mayang? Thank you, Pak Agus, for your comment.
So, good afternoon, Mr. Jackal Ma. I'm Mayang Darsita. I'm from batch 2023. From leadership class, actually. Because your service is very helpful to people, and I think it's one of the values that I learned in leadership class with the keyword helping others. So I want to know, what is your strategy to embrace weak communities? Because as I know, usually weak communities are rather reluctant to technological advance. And how do you educate them to be willing to utilize your service And also, are you having a hard time to maintain this issue before or currently? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I think like we can only do so much. Let me explain my philosophy. In principle, our company is more like a B2B to C company. So we help a lot of organizations to push to the end users. So rather than like having us going to like do a lot of things on to the end users, I give tools to our business customers so that they can get to the end users. When you think about it, if this technology is easy to use, because the penetration of smartphone in Indonesia is actually quite high. So it's not something very difficult to use. Like we don't want to make these things difficult to use. We want to make it as seamless as possible to make people such as Easy Cash to easily reach these people so that these people can get to their financial needs a lot easier. We also give these tools to people such as Shopee, such as Lazada, and all these people, so that the people who use their app will be a lot easier to protect, because technology doesn't need to be complicated. I think the people who use it as end user will try to make it as simple as possible, as easy as possible. As a matter of fact, one of the discussions that I have last month in another country is how do we really have the simplest customer journey when people are using their smartphone to do online, to do borrowing and so on. I think it's really the technology should work behind the scene. So right now with AI, with a lot of these things, we are always talking about reducing customer friction. So with that, we really want to use this technology so that it's easy to use. So all these complex things that I talk about is behind the scene, making like whatever like people who want to use technology a lot easier to like reach their purpose. So I believe that's the whole idea of like our technology behind. Thanks.
Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, since the question answers section is unfortunately should be ended, but don't worry. If you students, faculty would like to engage with Mr. Jackal Ma, we have this LinkedIn platform of his. You may, can we just connect to you, Pak? And
no problem. I love to.
And send question and more question maybe. Okay, dear students, if I may wrap our session today, there are three takeaways that you may you may note, or it's my notes actually. Firstly, it's about the technology. It's actually can be powerful to drive inclusion and equality, and network effect, right? And collaboration between a private sector, government, and local community is crucial for creating sustainability and equitable solution. And last but not least, passion and desire to drive positive change are essential for you, actually, for future leaders, for creating innovative business models. Ladies and gentlemen, students, please have a round of applause for Mr. Jackal Ma.
Thank you.
And thank you for your attention. And may I give to the MCs?
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Jackal Ma and Julia, for the wonderful and informative session. Please come to the front of the table because we will have a token of appreciation that will be represented by Prof. Aman and Ibu Utami Handayani Arifin. So, Bu Utami, okay, then Prof. Aman and Ibu Rifa. Okay, can you please go to the front and token of appreciation? We have a placard as memory of each of our speaker and moderator given by Prof. Aman. Okay, and also souvenir from Yami as one of our business partner, of our business patron under Sri Boga Ratu Raya Group, represented by Ibu Rifa. And lastly, a souvenir from IPMI will be given by Prof. Aman.
And please remain on the stage as we would also like to invite Bapak Nuki that represents Fintopia Indonesia to receive a token of our appreciation given by Professor Aman. Okay, please round of applause. And let's take a picture all together for Pak Jackal Ma, Bapak Nuki, Bu Rifa, for the last photo session to get all together.
In front of the table, maybe?
All right, another round of applause. And once again, thank you, Mr. Jackal Ma and Bulia, for the amazing discussion. It's very insightful, very productive.
Yes, it was very educative. So we have
Maybe after this, Burifa, as we need to do a closing first.
yes, closing first, and then we will have a photo session together. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of today's event. We would like to apologize for any inconvenience during this event, and we would like to give you the highest appreciation for all the offline as well as the online participants for tuning in today's event.
And before you leave, please take all of your belongings and put the waste in the trash bin. And you can follow our social media account at IPMI Campus on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, for more information about our activities, events, and programs. And this video is also recorded by YouTube Live. And after this, we can have networking session together. And maybe for the participants that want to take a photo with Mr. Jackal Ma. All right?
All right.
See you at the next event and have a good day. Thank you. All right. Anyone wants to take photo together, not working together?